Hello again, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, The Poetry of Nice. So today's video is a little different from the usual content that I put out. I have been putting out a lot of content recently showing you the best of, so whether it's been like the most consistent sellers of 2019 for me, or my most profitable items of 2019. I've done a lot of that recently because I think it's really important to share that. I think it's super helpful to some people out there. However, there is another side to it, and I decided I wanted to go ahead and make a video about that today. And basically I'm going to talk to you about where the heck my sales went for this entire week. So when I'm recording this is basically the week after I got back from vacation. I put up a sales update video that was talking about the money that I made while I wasn't working. So essentially the 2 weeks that we were on vacation, I kept my eBay store open and opened my Poshmark closet again towards the end of it. And I showed you guys all of the items that I sold in that period when I was sort of hands off with my business, and they just kind of sold themselves in a way, if you like, while I was out having fun. Well, here we are 1 week later and my sales are next to nothing, and I got really sad about it. I'm gonna be honest. I did post on Instagram. It wasn't a super gloomy post, but I was letting you guys know that it happens. It was happening to me, and I was kind of feeling pitiful, if you like, about it. And then I got to thinking, there was a lot of people who commented and sort of said, thank you for showing that side of things, which I hadn't even thought about that, if I'm honest, but it's true. It's really important that we're sort of transparent, isn't it? And we say that sometimes the weeks just kind of suck a little bit and we don't make very much money. It does happen from time to time. And so as I was thinking about it, I thought I'm gonna kind of analyze why on earth this happened for me, and I guess potentially for you guys as well. So I'm not going to go into like a whole bunch of data and stuff, but I did decide to sit down and just kind of write out some of the things that I think may have caused this slowdown for me, and therefore hopefully I know what to do to try and counteract that in the future, and hopefully stimulate more sales going forward. So the first thing I was thinking about was that it was the post-vacation slump. This can happen when I feel like sometimes listings are sometimes like retroactive, if that makes sense. So if you're listing a whole bunch, say like 10 items a day, and then you go on vacation, sometimes the momentum of those 10 listings that you were doing daily can kind of carry over for a week or two and keep you going, keeping the algorithm favoring you, lots of activity. And then you find yourself like a week or two later sort of getting the repercussions of slowing down, and it feels a bit weird because you're thinking, well, I wasn't doing anything and I was still getting sales. Why am I not getting them now? But like I said, it can be kind of like a repercussion of slowing down there, and so it's a little bit later than you would expect it to. So I think that may be happening right now for my store, if I'm completely honest. And then to compound that like delayed effect would be that I have not been working as hard as I did before I went on vacation. So before vacation I was listing 5 to 10 items a day very steadily. It wasn't awesome, but it was the Christmas season, so I was trying to keep up. Since I've been back, 5 has been like my maximum a day, maybe sometimes 2 a day. So therefore I have less output, right? Like I'm not working as hard, and therefore, as far as I've known in the 4 years I've sold online, what you get out by what you put in, as my grandfather used to say. You only get out by what you put in. And I'm not putting a lot in right now. So I definitely think that is going to be playing into this as well. I'm also questioning right now the quality of items that I am listing. So for anybody who watches my haul videos, you may have noticed a trend recently where it has been more about, I wouldn't say quantity over quality, but I would say that quantity has been a really big motivating factor for me when it comes to picking up inventory, as well as keeping my cost of goods lower. By the way, for anyone interested, I did make a video sharing my absolute 100% real numbers of 2019, all the money I made in 2019 selling online, which I'll put right here and link down below in the description in case you're interested and want to see what those numbers were. But I will also say that my cost of goods rose. So I'm preparing all my taxes right now. I'm getting all my numbers together, and I tend to say that my average cost of goods is $1. That's what it was all the way through 2018 into 2019. Well, now as I'm analyzing and putting all my tax numbers together for 2019, I'm seeing that my cost of goods has crept up to $169 per item. So that's something I need to bear in mind when I'm moving forward and buying inventory. Anyway, that was a side note. So anyway, yes, the quantity is what I've been focusing on and trying to keep that cost of goods low. And because of that, and because rummage sales and things have been very scarce here in the winter where I live in East Tennessee, I have been more focused on getting as many items as possible into my house so I can be consistent with listing. I swear by consistency. I think it is one of the most important elements when selling successfully online. But I think that you also still need to make sure that you are selling things that people want. I have gone very much into the realms of standard bread and butter, especially vintage bread and butter. And while those items do sell for me, and I've only picked up items that I liked and I thought the condition was good enough and things like that, I have noticed that those items are longer tail. Vintage items are long tail for me, so I have to be patient for them to sell, and therefore the more that I'm listing them and not these sort of more popular contemporary brands that have a quick sell-through rate for me, the more my sales have slowed down right now, I think that it's definitely had an impact. For anybody out there who has a death pile and likes to work through it, I think you know what I'm talking about. When you get down to the bottom, it's almost like the dregs. It's the stuff that you didn't really want to list when you bought it necessarily. Well, that's what I'm listing right now. A lot of the time, very, very simple, straightforward items, but not a lot of money in them and not super enjoyable, if you like. And so I'm kind of walking through like treacle right now, trying to get through those listings, and I will do it, and I will get those items up, and they will make me money eventually, but the whole process right now has kind of slowed down, and I think I need to take a good hard look about introducing some more higher end or more desirable items that are going to sell quicker into my closet and store. There may be a thrift store trip for me in the future yet. So I also want to bear in mind the time of year. Now, I'm not going to use this as an excuse, because there are people out there who are making thousands of dollars a week. It's not necessarily down to the time of year, and I'd actually expect in early January to have better sales than I would over, say, Christmas week and the holiday week, and that hasn't happened yet for me. So I'm kind of saying it to say that something that I am bearing in mind while I'm sort of analyzing these numbers and things, but I don't think it's necessarily connected. I will say I'm also having so many returns right now for fit. I can't even tell you. When it rains, it pours. In fact, for my sales update, I showed you 27 items that I sent out. Of those 27 items, 9 are coming back to me in some way, most likely for a return, whether it be for fit or 1 or 2 things where there were like condition issues, but those were kind of complicated cases that I'm just riding out at this point. Anyway, we'll see. Next thing that I want to talk about is saturation in my particular marketplace. So I mentioned that I was doing a lot of bread and butter items. Yes, quite a lot of vintage, but also a lot of very standard brands. Think like American Eagle. These are things that I picked up for like 25 cents at a filler bag. So I grabbed them because they're good filler, but at the moment it's like all filler that I'm listing, if that makes sense. So like American Eagle, some Old Navy, just things like that really. So there's a lot of saturation there. Like I said, not a lot of money to be made. On Poshmark, for example, not a lot of people want to buy a shirt for $10 and then pay $7 shipping or whatever it is. So that's kind of a roadblock there as well. I think those items are really just good bundling items in my opinion. So like I said before, I think I really need to work in 2020 to expand my inventory in terms of having some good variety in there now. The clothing market is quite a saturated market, used clothing, especially on Poshmark and especially on eBay. And when you don't have those items that really stand out from the crowd, I definitely feel like it can get things slowing down for you a little bit. Therefore, I find myself trying to run sales and stuff like that, which I'll touch on later. But I definitely think that I need to look into not necessarily all hard goods. I don't want to go there because clothing for me is so easy to store, so easy to find and cheap, and it is so easy to ship. That's one of the reasons I moved into clothing a while ago. But I definitely think that I could use more hard goods in my stores. Therefore, when clothing is kind of dragging along, maybe I can get some movement when it comes to selling those one-of-a-kind or more specific hard goods. However, that is going to mean that I need to educate myself more. I need to get on YouTube and Instagram and learn more about items outside of clothing to sell online, because quite frankly, it's been a while and I need to learn how it's going right now. And the last thing I'm going to touch on is pricing, sales, and promotions. So my pricing has always been pretty standard. I price towards the top end of the market, therefore I run sales and I run promoted listings on eBay, and I kind of let that do the talking for me, if you like. If I price it a little bit high, I feel okay, usually because I know I'm going to be running 15, 20, 25, 30% sales fairly regularly that are going to sort of cut that down and hopefully help my listings get pushed to the top of search. I also don't do free shipping on eBay, and as of right now, I don't have any plans to change that. To me, that just becomes so incredibly complicated when it comes to dealing with offers to likers and things like that. But it's not something that I would totally say that I wouldn't do. I'll just have it at the back of my mind, I think, as this year gets going. But maybe I do need to take a good hard look at my pricing. Maybe I could drop it down a little bit and still have that wiggle room for sending out offers and things. I guess I just need to analyze that as I go. And then when it comes to sales and promotions, I will say that when I got back from vacation, I totally forgot to restart my promoted listings on eBay, which is something I keep going all the time. Now, I do start and stop it and change the percentage around. It usually goes from between 1% to 3%. I kind of like fiddle with it here and there and see what difference it makes. But I do tend to sell quite a lot of items through promoted listings. I think it's a really useful tool. And I did not start that again in my store. I actually went for almost a week, funny that, where I didn't have that going, and so I did restart that on Friday. I've had a little bit of movement and stuff, and I started a sale on Friday as well, a 30% off sale. When I went on vacation, I did set a few sales to run on the weekends and across like New Year's and things like that, that was sort of like 30 to 35%, but it wasn't the whole way through, and I was still getting good, consistent, at least 2 a day sales while I was on vacation. So I think it plays a part, but I don't think it's the only element that I need to be focusing on. And that's it. So, like I said, this video wasn't really me giving you data or letting you know exactly why I didn't sell. It was more of a chit chat really, where I wanted to show you all of the different pieces of the puzzle that I've come up with that I think have contributed to me not having a good sales week. In fact, let's just go ahead and call it a really bad sales week. And I'd love to know as well what you guys think. So in the comments, I really want to invite you to let me know what are the elements that you think really make the difference for you in having those consistent sales versus not having consistent sales. This week I went almost 4 days without having a sale on one single platform, and I sell on 3 different platforms, and that just doesn't happen anymore for me. It's been years since that happened. So as you can imagine, I was biting my fingernails, laying awake at night thinking, what have I done wrong? And so yes, let's start a little bit of a chit chat, a little bit of a discussion down in the comments and see if we can't help each other and get some great tips from each other as well. If you enjoyed this video, please do think about giving it a thumbs up and hitting the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. On this channel, I like to share all kinds of reseller content hauls and sales updates and tips and tricks and chit chats just like this one, and I would love to have you along for the journey. I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Have the most amazing week. Bye.